Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up hard.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Six with Ian and Thomas.
Hello, and Happy New Year. Happy 2019.
God, I'm getting older. Don't grow up, kids. It sucks.
True.
But what doesn't suck is football.
Premier League.
We have 2 game weeks, 19 and 20, crossing the midway line with this one, right after Christmas, and boy, what a good set of games we had.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really good games on. It's a lot of football to watch.
We unfortunately were not able to watch all of it. We were away for a bit and haven't watched every game, but we will cover everything that we can with the best of our abilities and give you as much information as possible.
True.
Starting with Boxing Day, Fulham able to get a point against Wolves, which is actually a little bit surprising, especially with the way Wolves have been playing recently.
It was a little sad.
It's just not consistent enough. And it's the same thing that I'm seeing with teams like Watford and Bournemouth. They're playing really well. They're just not getting the consistent wins. They're not getting consistent points. It's enough to keep them, near the top of the table, top half of the table. Actually, wow, Bournemouth have dropped. Okay.
Yeah, but Wolves are in 8th.
So, they're doing pretty good. But it's just, to drop 2 points to a team like Fulham, who are in last right now, that's a game that you got to win. In my opinion.
True. And I agree with that. You got a team at the bottom of the table, and they've been there the entire season. Mm-hmm. A team like Wolves should have come up with, but they got a point, and it's away from home. So, it's not a disaster. But, yeah, it was a little disappointing for them. I think they played better than a 1-1 scoreline.
Everton beat the crap out of Burnley, which I guess is to be seen. Burnley are nowhere near the caliber they were last season.
Yeah, well, and that being said, neither is Everton.
That's true.
Last season, the season before, I would have said yes. I expect Everton to take all 3 points against Burnley, and especially a 5-1 scoreline for Everton. I would have definitely thought that. But this season, they got the points, and it was a well-played match for them. A 5-1 scoreline is pretty good. But it's not the Everton of old. So I think they kind of got away with some there. But,
yeah. But
yeah, and again, not to take anything away from them, but the fact that Burnley is not the caliber that they were last season. So,
another surprising scoreline, at least in my opinion, was the 0-0 draw between Palace and Cardiff.
Yes.
With the way that Cardiff have been playing, especially getting that 3-2 win over City, just the week before,
Palace.
I believe. Yeah, Palace getting the win over City.
Yes. Anyway,
you confuse me. To come back against Cardiff and get a 0-0 draw, not exactly what we would expect. That's not how you should go about beating the team in second place.
Yeah.
Especially the way that they did it.
Yeah, that's like following up a strike with a spare.
No, that's like following up a strike with, gutter ball.
Wow.
I fully expected Palace to win that game. Or at least score a goal. It's just...
yeah.
And that's another problem. Again, with the inconsistencies. Palace just aren't consistent enough. Right. And that's seen in the scorelines of the games that they're playing.
Yeah, and in that, with those things, in mind, understand that, Palace has a lot of injury issues going on right now. They have no designated striker. So they're playing with a bunch of attacking midfielders, and no strikers. So I think they're holding their own. But yeah, I thought it was disappointing too. I would have expected Palace to win that, especially like you said, coming off a win against City the week before.
Manchester United won the 2008 Champions League final with no designated strikers.
Okay.
So, I'm not saying you don't need a striker to be, but especially in today's modern game, 2008 was 11 years ago now. A striker is extremely important. Especially, you need a good one. And Palace are still looking. So, hopefully they can find one in the January transfer window that just opened up today. So, speaking of City, dropping 2 in a row. Like we said, Crystal Palace last week. And Leicester this week. And Leicester played with everything. And it helped. They fully deserved that game. City just, I guess, remained shell-shocked from Palace and couldn't rebound fast enough.
City did not look like City.
No.
Is really what it comes down to. They scored first, and it looked like, okay, City's back.
Yeah.
But they really just seemed still kind of disorganized, almost discombobulated, like confused as to what was happening with the fact that, Leicester City is a pretty strong squad. I mean, they're not nearly as high in the rankings as they have been, but still, I mean, they're not a slouch team at all. And then with Mark Albrighton pulled one back, minutes later after the Bernardo Silva goal, which was a really good goal, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
And then toward the end of the match, was the 81st, Ricardo Pereira. And I think that was Ricardo Pereira's first Premier League goal, which was the match winner to bring home the win, 3 points for Leicester at the King Power.
What a way to get your first Premier League goal.
Right.
Against the reigning champions to get the game winner late in the game. Props. But, I mean, I think City are still in the title hunt. There's a bigger points difference now. But I still think City could still fight for a title. It's by no means over.
Yeah, they're definitely not out of it.
We still got 18 weeks left. But we'll just have to wait and see.
And Kevin De Bruyne is back.
Oh, absolutely.
So
once he gets back in form, they'll be back to their destructive path. Speaking of destructive path, Liverpool remain unbeaten against Newcastle. And it
wasn't even fair.
It wasn't really. Dejan Lovren got one, and that was a beautiful goal.
That was a nice rip.
Mohamed Salah with a penalty, Shaqiri with the third, and Fabinho with the fourth. I've been saying it since we started this season. I think it's Liverpool's year.
I hope it is.
They have such a full team of good players.
Yeah, Jurgen Klopp has pulled together a good group of guys.
And I'm honestly scared to see what he does in this transfer window. Because I know he's looking to bring in some depth. And, I mean, once Liverpool have depth, especially for the second half of the season, when injuries are more prone to happen, and, with, 2 games a week, players getting tired, having depth is dangerous.
Yeah. And the rumors are right now that that Liverpool are willing to let Danny Sturridge and Divock Origi go in the transfer window in order to help create some of that depth, especially up top. They want to keep that attacking momentum moving.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to either Daniel Sturridge, who to me, I mean, he's still a really good player. He's not the Daniel Sturridge of just 4 or 5 seasons ago.
Yeah, I think he's peaked, but he's still a good player.
Yeah, and then Divock Origi just not getting the playing time because of the depth that Liverpool already have, and just to kind of shore up some things. The defense that Liverpool has right now is relentless.
It's scary good.
As my friend Jamie Mulholland would say, it's diabolical. That was my best impression, Jamie. Sorry about that.
I'm so sorry.
But I mentioned you on YouTube, so you're famous. With the back four that Liverpool are playing with, I mean they are a machine right now. And is it their year? I really hope so. The possibility is definitely there. So moving on with that, Manchester United had a change of leadership. Paul Pogba is all smiles right now, and it's showing on the pitch.
And he should be. He absolutely should be smiling.
It was an immediate impact to bring someone else in that he could he kind of spread his wings, and play like Paul Pogba plays. And play him, period.
Yes.
I mean, just the fact that a couple of weeks ago, with Manchester United playing at Anfield, he didn't play, and that was absolutely mind-blowing. But this time, Manchester United pulled it off against Huddersfield Town. And even that with David Warner's guys, they're struggling right now. Manchester United put some new tires on and are headed around the track again. I mean, they're moving. With Nemanja Matic, Paul Pogba had two goals, so he had a brace that day. Andrew Herrera assisted one, and Jesse Lingard the other.
And then their last 3 games, and this is kind of going into week 20. We'll go over this game later. The last 3 games were 5-1 against Cardiff, 3-1 against Huddersfield, and 4-1 against Bournemouth this weekend.
Yeah.
You can't say that it wasn't just Mourinho. Mourinho had something to do with it.
Yeah.
To bring in a guy and immediately start playing like that and winning games like that, something has happened. Yeah. Something is clicking between the manager and players, and that's important. And it's working.
Like I said, it was an immediate impact. I mean, the very week after Jose Mourinho got sacked, things were different. Things were better. And it's Manchester United, like everybody thinks of Manchester United. The winningest team in the league. So.
Tottenham, 5-0 over Bournemouth.
That wasn't fair either.
No.
And Bournemouth is one of the teams I like to watch play. They're resilient. They really throw everything but the kitchen sink at you. I think this week they probably should have thrown the kitchen sink, because Tottenham sure did.
Oh, absolutely.
Tottenham came to win, and a 5-0 scoreline at home for Tottenham. They're still not playing at White Hart Lane, which apparently has been pushed back yet again to get that new stadium with all the technological advances.
I thought it was February. Is it later now?
I think it's moved to the end of February, early March now. So something's going on, whatever.
It's not really that big of a deal because this is mid season. So the Tottenham slump is about to start. It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. And we'll talk about the match that shows that.
Watch, we're gonna joke about it, and they're gonna win the league this year.
Oh God, I'll cry.
I'll film it.
Listen, just as long as it's not Arsenal, Speaking of Arsenal, Brighton and Hove hosted the Gunners, and it didn't go too badly for Brighton.
No.
With a 1-1 draw against Arsenal, who the week before kind of shoveled it in on Burnley 3-1. So to come up with a 1-1 draw for Brighton, not too bad. Brighton are 13th, so they're well above the relegation zone, and not doing too bad. They're a lower half team, and I think probably will be for a long time. But again, they're one of those teams that, they're resilient. They're ready to fight. And they've got our former Hammerhead buddy, Glenn Murray. So shout out to Glenn. Hammers till we die. I don't think Glenn Murray scored the goal.
He did not.
He did not. Okay. I think he actually got subbed off before it happened.
No, he was subbed off after it happened.
Okay. But anyway. But, you got a guy like Glenn Murray out there. I mean, this guy's 37 years old. For all intents and purposes, for the most part, any other player would have been let go by now. Or, moved into a management position or a trainer position or something. But Glenn Murray...
he's still firing all cylinders.
Still. And it's great. So, good for Glenn Murray. And it was a good point for Brighton. A home draw against Arsenal. So...
Chelsea Watford. Much needed win for Chelsea to stay up top or near the top. And 2 goals from Eden Hazard. Good to see him on the score sheet again. It's been a little bit. He hasn't been scoring as often as he usually does this season, but he's been creating more chances. He's been playing a little bit deeper. He's playing as that false 9 and creating the chances instead of scoring them.
which he's really good at.
And it's working.
Yeah.
Maurizio Sarri is actually very happy. He's come out and said he's very happy with how Eden Hazard has been playing this season, because it's helping the team tremendously. Hopefully that can stay. Hopefully he will stay at Chelsea. He has said that if he ever leaves, it will not be mid-season. So I do not foresee him leaving this transfer window. But there are rumors that he's already accepted something for the summer transfer window, which is kind of sad, but
yeah,
what are you going to do?
But that being said as well, excuse me, with that transfer window, there are rumors. We've got no confirmation anywhere that we've found so far. And I've done minimal research on it to begin with. But the rumors are starting to come pretty thick and fast now that Christian Pulisic may be coming to Chelsea in the summer transfer window. So if Eden Hazard decides to leave and go to Barcelona or wherever, Real, yeah, I'm sorry. They've got a pretty solid dude coming in, to maybe fill that role.
Yes.
So that would be exciting to see Christian Pulisic come to the Premier League. Us
as Americans love watching him. The youngest U.S. men's national team captain ever, and a fantastic player.
Yes.
Kind of been pushed out recently from the Dortmund lineup because of some injuries that he's had, but he's still a really good player, and I think he's looking for some starting time, which he's not getting right now. I'm hoping, as a Chelsea fan, that he comes to Chelsea. I would be very delighted with that, to see him play in a Blues jersey. But again, we have no confirmation. It's just rumors right now. Hopefully. We're hoping. I'm hoping. Southampton, not getting a win that they really needed. They've been playing really well. They played really well this game. It wasn't enough. Especially with the two goals from Felipe Anderson, who I've said over and over again is something special. And he proved it this game, with 2 goals giving them the win. Like I said, Southampton played well. West Ham just played a little bit better.
Yeah, and they up until this day, this is the 27th, so 2 days after Christmas, the day after Boxing Day, they had 6 points from 12. They lost to Cardiff, they beat Arsenal, and I'm sorry, no, that was Brighton, and then Arsenal, and then they beat Cardiff, and then lost this match to West Ham, and then moving in, going on to see Chelsea, actually with in the January schedule. They are doing better than they were under Mark Hughes.
Mm-hmm. They're out of the relegation zone.
Yes.
They're barely. They're still fighting. They're still clawing their way out of it. But I think by the end of the season, they'll be somewhere around 14. I think
that seems fair.
I think they're going to be able to climb up out of this slump that they started the season with. I think Ralph Hasenhüttl has got them on the right. Just the right schedule, the right training, the right tactics.
The right tactics and training.
For everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched this match. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But I watched this match, and that was one of the things that I mentioned when we watched it together,
mm-hmm.
Was the fact that something was different about Southampton. What's different? And I was like, they're playing really good football. It's basic football.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the things that maybe Ralph Hasenhüttl is working with them on the training grounds, going, listen, guys, stop overcomplicating it, stop overthinking it. Let's just play simple balls, simple passes, moving forward. If you don't have anything on moving forward, you bring it back and you recycle it and you play on the other side. And that's what I was watching them doing. And it looked like they were all having fun. I'll tell you, Nathan Redmond was having fun.
Yeah, especially getting that goal.
Yeah.
But until the last minute of stoppage time, they were fighting. They were pushing for that equalizer.
Yeah.
They couldn't quite get it, and unfortunately, they dropped 3 points because of it. But like I said, I think they're gonna start really clawing past some teams. Starting since Hasenhüttl came in, they've started clawing their way back. They could really only go up from where they were.
Again, I thought that was it was a big impact that managerial change made.
All right, that is week 19. Match week 19.
On to match week 20.
Yes.
20 for you normal people.
Everton dropped points. Something's just not clicking.
I don't get it. They have such a talented squad. I don't know. Something's missing. I don't think Marco Silva is going to last much longer as the Everton manager. Moving into the matches that were played today. And again, we'll talk about those in the next show.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't be dropping points to teams like Brighton and Hove.
Yeah.
They really can't. If they want to stay viable, as far as the title race, I don't think Everton's got what it takes right now. Something's got to give.
Well, they're in 10th right now.
With the way the point spread is just in the top 5, 10th place isn't good enough.
No.
Are they going to get relegated? I seriously doubt it. But they're going to finish mid-table the way they're playing now.
Mm-hmm. Which is not where Everton should be.
Definitely not.
They should be fighting for Europa League qualification, or fighting for Champions League qualification, or even fighting for a title. It's been a couple years since Everton's really been a title contender, but they still have the skill and talent.
They really need just to fight for a win right now.
Yeah, that too. But I mean, I agree with you. I don't think Marco Silva is going to last long the way that Everton are playing. He's got to get this squad up and moving the way that they can before they actually, drop down into the bottom half.
They let Ronald Koeman go, brought in Marco Silva, and things got worse.
Yeah.
If and I've got, one of our really good friends, Cody Arnaud, is an Everton player, a former Everton player. And I love him to death. And he's got to be absolutely beside himself, seeing what's happening. Because when, just a few years ago, Everton, was a dominant team. They consistently top 5. They're, still considered one of the big 6. But I think that moniker for them is on its way out. If they're going to keep playing like this, they're going to be a mid-table team. They're going to be a Burnley or a Bournemouth. And that's just, I don't know. It hurts my feelings, and I'm a Liverpool supporter. So,
move on to the Fulham Huddersfield. Yeah. Fulham getting a very much needed win.
Truth. Where are they at? Let's see. Up until that match, loss, draw. Yeah.
So they've been dropping points. I believe this was their second clean sheet of the season, with their last one being against who was it? Against Newcastle a couple weeks ago.
And just, with Fulham, getting that win against Huddersfield is really, they're dropping points they shouldn't be dropping too.
They're inconsistent as well.
Yeah. David Wagner is just, it's not, I don't think they're going to make it through the season. They'll obviously they're going to make it to the end of the season. Nobody gets kicked out in the middle of the season. But I think Huddersfield, wow. You heard it here first. Huddersfield will be eliminated from Premier League before the end of the season.
That's not how that works.
That's not how that works. But I think Huddersfield by the end of the season will be embroiled in a vicious relegation battle.
Absolutely.
I think that's where they're going to be.
And I think that might be what they need to wake them up.
Sure.
That's usually how it happens for some teams.
Yeah.
Usually there's 5 or 6 teams fighting it out for relegation battles, and 3 or 4 of them wake up right at the end. We all know 3 of them have to be relegated. That's just how it is.
Which is one of my favorite things about this league, by the way, is the relegation system.
Which we hear is coming to America.
Whatever. Still MLS, who cares?
But the fact that, it's whenever a team wakes up. It's not whether or not they do, it's when. The earlier a team wakes up and realizes that they're already in a relegation battle, the quicker they can fight to get out of it. And I think that's what Huddersfield need to do right now. I think that's what Fulham need to do. They don't seem to be focusing on the big things. I saw an article today. Apparently, Claudio Ranieri was very mad at Kamara for taking the penalty instead of Mitrovic. Usually there's a designated penalty taker. And Mitrovic is Fulham's. And Kamara decided to take it into his own hands and missed it in the 82nd minute. That could have put the game away early, created some momentum, maybe gotten a second goal for Fulham. And instead, it lasted till the 90th plus 1 minute before Fulham got their goal from Mitrovic. Yeah. Claudio Ranieri is focusing on, being angry at Kamara for missing the penalty instead of saying, hey, we won that game, couple little mistakes, let's move on to the next one, get another win. We've got Arsenal coming up. This is a big game. If we can win this is huge. This is huge momentum for us. I think they're just focusing on the wrong things right now. And that's what a lot of teams tend to do, is they tend to focus on the wrong things.
Yeah. And that may be one of the things that, right after Leicester City, where Claudio Ranieri was last manager, right after they won the league, the next season, Leicester wasn't pulling it off. And there was a lot of speculation as to what was going on, because there weren't a lot of player changes. And Claudio Ranieri was finally just let go. And that may have been one of the things. The people just didn't like the tactics. Something was off, and that may be one of them. He's just his focus is on the wrong things. I'm not slighting Claudio Ranieri, but I mean, he's a little long in the tooth. He's been around a long time. I don't know that he's up for the modern match. I mean, that could be it. I mean, look at the teams that are struggling. You've got Neil Warnock, Claudio Ranieri, even Manuel Pellegrini. I mean, these folks they're older guys, and their teams are struggling. They're not doing terribly, but they're not doing great. Mm-hmm. And that may be just because their managerial style, their style of play, isn't modern enough. That's just a thought. So listen, you guys, give me some input on that. Tell me what you think.
Cardiff got a much needed win over Leicester. Leicester just not consistent enough. Leicester's still playing really well. Leicester have been in really good form. I think they didn't come out to play this game. They may have underestimated Cardiff, or Cardiff just came out to play. Yeah. They got a really important win.
That one, that Etheridge. It looked like that game was definitely, going all Leicester's way up until there was a penalty save. Or was it a penalty save? No,
yes, it was
a penalty save. And Neil Etheridge, I mean, just, pulled it off. James Maddison was going to take a penalty late in the match, and Etheridge pulled it off.
It was a brilliant save.
Brilliant save.
And the what was even better was the clearance from, I can't remember who it was that cleared it. The defender. Oh, I'm gonna hate myself if I don't figure this out.
I don't have any notes.
It was Bamba.
Yep, that sounds right.
It was Bamba who, after the Etheridge made the initial save, and as a goalkeeper from a shot from 12 yards away, the best you can really hope to do is just get a deflection. Obviously, you can try and catch it. But usually it's a little in the air, and from that close, there's a lot of power behind it. And Bamba, brilliant off the line, help his goalkeeper out, make sure they keep that clean sheet, which is exactly what a goalkeeper can expect from their defender. That's exactly what you want from your defender. And that it eventually won them the game. They were able to get a goal in the 90th plus 1 minute, I believe.
90th plus 2. Victor Camarasa, and it was a ridiculous goal.
Oh yeah,
ridiculous goal. It was a really good goal, and that gave Cardiff their first away win of the season. So you're match week 20, and they're finally pulling off an away win.
But I think Neil Etheridge is an up and rising name. I think we'll be hearing a lot more of him recently.
Keep an eye on
or
that.
lately. unfortunately, we won't be seeing him much in the international game. He's from the Philippines. I don't know if he has any dual citizenship. But if anybody follows the international game, the Philippines aren't really there that much. Maybe he can
see how the Asia Cup goes.
Maybe he can lead them to something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's what they need.
Tottenham. At this point, Tottenham were in second behind Liverpool.
And they dropped the points
And they
all over the table.
Dropped them to Wolves at that. And, not just like Wolves. Wolves have been playing really well this season. Excellent work to come up from the championship to, being in, I believe they're in 9th place right now.
All I know is that Tottenham dropped those points to Wolves.
8th place, sorry.
That game was all Tottenham until the 60th or
72nd minute.
Okay. And then Wolves turned it on. I think it was 1-0 at halftime.
Yep.
And it was still all Tottenham. They were pressing. And then so the 75th minute to the 90th minute, Wolves scored 3 unanswered goals to pull off 3 points against Tottenham. At Tottenham.
Yeah. At Wembley.
So they were at Wembley with the Tottenham home crowd not happy. And I'll tell you what, Nuno was beside himself.
As he should be.
Absolutely. I was beside myself. I thought it was phenomenal. We were playing pickup soccer on Sunday, and I happened to mention, did you see Tottenham, crumble? And somebody mentioned, wait, what? It was 1-0 at halftime when I turned the game off. And I was like, yeah, Wolves came back with 3 unanswered in the second half.
Yeah.
And from the 75th minute to the 90th minute, you do the math. So that's, an average of 1 goal every 5 minutes. And I don't know, but...
Tottenham slump started already?
He strokes his beard questioningly.
Newcastle Watford 1-1. Important point for Newcastle.
Yes.
Good goal from Rondon. Watford was just able to get an equalizer late in the game. There's really just... I think Newcastle's defense is just not strong enough to last the full 90 minutes. And that's the reason they're struggling so much. And that and Watford have been playing really well.
Yeah, and is it Ben Foster?
Yes.
The goal? Yeah. Really pulled off some good goalkeeping for Watford in that match. And he kind of kept Watford in the game after they scored the goal. The Decore equalizer was a good goal, and it was all just because of the Newcastle defending just kind of crapped the bed on that one. Which is sad. When your defense, you're up and running, you're a point. You're about to win 3 points. And just all of a sudden, your defense has just whatever.
Anyways,
wasn't good.
You want to go over this one?
Destructo Nation. Liverpool hosted Arsenal at Anfield. Arsenal came up.
Before I mention anything, before this point, Bobby Firmino has not scored at Anfield yet this season.
Has not scored at Anfield yet this season until this match.
Continue.
Maitland-Niles for Arsenal.
It was a good goal.
In the 11th minute. It was a great goal. And I was like, well, okay, game on. Arsenal's a solid team. And they're playing a great team.
And then 5 minutes later, Bobby Firmino said game off.
Yes. And then 2 minutes after that, he just stole 3 points from Arsenal because he had another goal. Sadio Mane in the 32nd, assisted by Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah put up 4-1 in the 45th plus 2 with a penalty. The penalty, even as a Liverpool supporter, I'm thinking it was a little sketch.
Yes.
I didn't see enough contact for it to have been a foul. Now, that being said, I also had the advantage of seeing what happened, the incident, from multiple different angles.
In slow motion.
Yep. The referee does not have that. Yes. He has one look at it, and it's at full speed. He pointed to the spot. That was that. Mohamed Salah, ice in his veins, drilled it. So it's 4-1.
And I think that's the importance of VAR.
I
it's
agree.
Absolutely game changing.
I agree.
It could have, it could determine whether or not a team gets 1 point or 3 points, or 0 points at that.
Yeah.
But this game, it didn't matter.
It was all academic at that point.
20 minutes later, actually in the second half, Bobby Firmino, actually Mo Salah, who's the designated penalty taker, actually gave the penalty to Firmino to get him the hat trick, which, if you think about it, is huge.
Yeah.
Because Mo Salah is in a battle with Aubameyang and Harry Kane right now for Golden Boot. And he gave up a goal, basically, to give Bobby Firmino a hat trick, boost Bobby Firmino's morale. Excuse me, and just give the team
and just some good team.
And I remember
stuff.
Jurgen Klopp apparently came out in an interview and said that it almost brought him to tears to see that happen. He said the holidays may have been over, but it wasn't between the boys, and that's another reason why I think Liverpool right now are the best team in the league. Simply because they have that camaraderie between them. They have that chemistry that, a player, instead of, going for, the solo title of, Golden Boot, he gives one of his teammates a hat trick to boost his morale and possibly help the team later on in the season.
So up through week 20, Bobby Firmino has not scored a goal at Anfield. Arsenal show up, and Bobby Firmino says, "You know what? I got a hat trick for you boys.
Drop the load."
Yeah, I'm gonna drop something. But that was a great win for Liverpool. I almost felt bad for Arsenal. Almost, it didn't, but it was almost.
Not really.
So that's true. So the second day of week 20. Moving on from that match, which was I could talk about that all day because it was just really fun for me to watch as a Liverpool supporter. But Chelsea went to Crystal Palace and does what Chelsea does. They won. It was a 1-0 win.
Goal from the
Chelsea.
Smiling Frenchman, N'Golo Kante.
N'Golo Kante.
God, he's my favorite.
With an assist by David Luiz,
Yeah.
who's one of my favorites.
I'm glad to see he's playing again. Because under Antonio Conte, he wasn't. And there are rumors that he would be leaving. And he's always been one of my favorite players. Since I started following soccer and I really started supporting Chelsea, he was always one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Just because he's such a solid defender.
He's a solid defender, and I see the videos and stuff like his Instagram. He's a goofball, man.
Oh, absolutely.
He's just a kind of guy you really want to hang out with. And I also follow Bruno Peroni, who is a former Hammerhead. He is playing at Real Zaragoza, I think, in the Spanish second tier. I think that's where he's at now. I have to double check. But apparently he's like really, really good friends with David Luiz. Even spent Christmas with him at his London home. I see the videos, and he's always screwing off, man. He just seems like he's having so much fun, living his best life, man. And why not? I mean, this guy plays football for a living, in a really good team.
In one of the best leagues in the world.
True.
So I mean, you can't not be happy doing that.
That's true.
A surprise win from Burnley over West Ham,
I agree.
nonetheless.
Yeah, surprise.
I really expected West Ham to win that, especially the way they've been playing this season. But Burnley came to play. Burnley don't have a slack team. They've got a decent team. They haven't been performing as well as they can.
Yeah. They have a lot of injuries too. That's one thing that West Ham's still battling right now, are injuries. And you got guys who are coming back from injury and just not 100% yet. What's his name? Long-haired dude. Andy Carroll, that guy. Still, I don't think he's playing 100% right now. I watched that match, and there were a couple of times where I'm thinking Andy Carroll should be running right now, and he was literally standing still.
Yeah.
He looked like he was walking through the grocery store checking out the produce. Is what he was doing. When I think he should have been running. So I don't think he's 100%. Whether it's physically, mentally, both. Whatever. They're just not getting 100% out of him.
And
right now.
speaking of Andy Carroll, just to add a little bit of fun to his name, because Andy Carroll turned up to his fiance's sister's wedding in his training gear.
Right on.
Everybody's in, nice dresses, tuxes, and he's just in West Ham United training gear.
Hey.
Just to, remind everybody, yeah, I'm a professional footballer.
Yeah, sure, okay.
Which, why not? Let's see, 2 games left.
2 games left. Yeah, Southampton hosted Man City. Man City coming off of 2 losses in a row.
Yep.
Came up with a 3-1 win over Southampton.
Which was important.
It was important. Not incredibly surprising. It was almost, kind of one of those make or break situations. If Southampton would have somehow pulled off a win against City, that would have changed the course of the rest of the season.
Yes.
Historically across the board. Everything would have been shattered. Your reality as you know it now would have never existed. But Man City played really well. Southampton put up a fight.
Yeah.
They really did.
They were able to get a goal back. And then, unfortunately, right after that, they scored an own goal. But
yes, that's what it was. That was the own goal. I knew there was something going on.
Unfortunately, those things happen. And they hurt. They hurt emotionally, when you score on yourself, that affects you the rest of the game. And this one was right at halftime.
Right at halftime, yeah.
So, to go into the tunnel knowing, well, you just put your team down. And then in the stoppage time for the first half, they made it 3-1. That was
Sergio
it.
Aguero pulled off that one.
But it seems like this is one of the games we weren't able to watch, by the way. It seems like after that, Southampton came back, and they still fought. They weren't able to get a goal, but they were able to defend really well and prevent any more goals in the second half.
And actually, I did watch this one.
Did you?
Yeah, and I remember the own goal. It just deflected off of James Ward-Prowse away from the goalkeeper, and he knew it. He knew it immediately. James Ward-Prowse is one of those guys who's pretty sturdy. I don't know is he still playing for the England squad or not. But he's a pretty sturdy player, and for something like that to happen to him, it's just a bad day. So that, and right at halftime, it kind of sucks the wind out of your lungs, whatever. But yeah, and like you said, Southampton did put up a good fight, but it's Manchester City.
Yeah,
they're vicious.
And
they don't wait to smell blood; they go create it.
And I'm sure they were angry after losing 2 games in a row. They knew they needed to win this game. But last game, United Bournemouth. United still on a destruction path. Solskjaer is whatever he's done it's a whole new United. It's a whole new team.
With the same players.
Yeah.
Which is what is really...
It's just... and Bournemouth are no slouch team. They've been playing pretty well this season. They've been a
little more inconsistent than they were last season.
Yeah, they've been on kind of a little slump in the last month or so. But this season in total, they've played pretty well. And United is just... They came in, took 3 points, and left.
Yeah.
And Bournemouth... really didn't put up that much of a fight, unfortunately.
And Old Trafford is, it's a fortress, that's one of those ones, I'm obviously nowhere near being a professional footballer, but that's one of those ones that if I was not a Manchester United player and I was like, okay, we're going to Old Trafford this weekend, I'd be like, crap, we're going to Old Trafford.
Yep.
When you have a fan base like United have, and they're at their home ground, and just the support that they get from their home fans is relentless. And the players feed off of that. And I think Old Trafford is one of those grounds where that really, 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 really works for them. It works at Anfield. It works at the Etihad. It works at the Emirates. It even works at the Vitality Stadium for Bournemouth. When you have those grounds like that where your home crowd is in it no matter what, it makes a big difference. So Bournemouth, going into you know, they're on a little bit of shaky ground, but going into Old Trafford against a reinvigorated Manchester United, it was going to be a tough fight for them, and they just didn't have what it took.
I believe you mentioned Liverpool's second half of the season is majority away games.
Yes.
And
that's going to make a big difference.
I think it's going to make a little bit of a difference. I'm still predicting Liverpool wins the league.
They have a big test coming up on Thursday. They play
City.
Manchester City. They've already gotten a draw.
They got their draw, and it was almost a loss. We're still waiting for Riyad Mahrez' penalty to come down. Maybe it might be in orbit. We haven't figured it out yet.
It'll be at Mars in 6 weeks. So yeah, but the first goal scored on Mars, Riyad Mahrez. Mahrez. Whoa. What are your thoughts? So,
anyways, but I think that's all. That's all I have this week.
Yeah, that's all I have too. It's a kind of a long episode. We almost apologize for that, but we had 20 matches to get through.
Yeah, and we will next week as well. So get ready for another long episode.
So just stick with us. Listen, if you guys aren't able to watch the matches, that's fine. We don't get to watch all of them either, but we'll talk about it. We check up on the news. Yes. We do a little bit of research before every, all week long. I mean, I got notes, the whole thing. So stick with us. We're going to keep you up to date. We'll keep you informed on who's doing what, especially now transfer window's open.
Yes.
There's going to be some stuff going on. Some of these teams are looking for some players to kind of fill in some gaps they got, and to shore up some lines that may be weakening over time. So stay tuned for that. That's all I have. Thanks, guys. Happy New Year. Hope everybody was safe and had a good time. Hope your hangover goes away soon, because you got to go back to work tomorrow. But this has been Inside the Six with Ian and Thomas, and we want to thank you guys for watching. Special thanks to our really good friend Macrophonic MC for letting us use his music for intro and outro. Great big shout out to my man Thomas, who does all the editing and production. I sit here and look pretty. Thomas does everything else. Check out the t-shirt shop. Check out the sticker shop. Buy you some cool stuff. It says Inside the Six on it. They're good shirts. They even have the active shirts, the active wear. I wear them playing pickup soccer. I wear them riding a mountain bike, stuff like that. So go check out. All the links are there. The links to Macrophonic MC's music is there. Check that out too. And we will see you cats next time.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up hard.